Have you wished you could improvise, but found the whole thing intimidating, overwhelming, or just a complete mystery? There's one thing I can tell you in just a few minutes that will let you begin improvising today and set you up for continued success. Stay tuned. Hi, my name's Christopher Sutton, and in this video I'm going to share a mental framework and a simple exercise that can get you improvising today. No prior knowledge or special talent required. First though, I want to briefly mention what not to do when learning to improvise. And that's to see it as a strict, rule-based, formulaic process, or as a matter of memorizing particular licks or riffs. These two approaches, the rules and the vocab, are extremely prevalent, but they are not the route to truly free improvising. Music theory rules, scale patterns, and memorizing vocab do all have their place in improvising. But if you think that's all there is to it, you are never going to feel truly creative when you improvise. In fact, you will have made improvisation into something that's barely more creative than performing repertoire from sheet music. At Musical U, we are big believers in a truly free approach to improvising. One which says that your goal is to be able to imagine any musical idea in your mind, either before or while you play it, and bring that same idea out through your instrument. This is an approach that works for any genre and any musical situation. Whether you're talking about taking a solo over the middle eight of a jazz standard, or you're playing lead at the local blues jam, or you're playing by yourself, composing an entire original piece on the fly. If you can play whatever you hear in your head, you are truly free. Easier said than done, right? That is our end goal, but of course most musicians don't have the ear skills or audiation ability to do that on day one of learning to improvise. So at Musical U, we've developed a framework which does get you going on day one, with zero prior knowledge and certainly no so-called talent required. But it's a framework that does allow you to move gradually to that ultimate goal of fully free improvising. There are several components to this framework, and I won't go into all of them here. I'm just going to share one big idea that you can take away and apply immediately. This is the idea of giving yourself a playground to improvise in. We define a playground as a particular musical context where you've set things up so that you basically can't help but sound good. Like a real-world playground for kids, it's designed to be the perfect balance of interesting adventure and fun new experiences while keeping you safe at all times. You're going to give yourself a particular playground and then just spend a few minutes or longer experimenting in an improvised way in that playground. So that's the purpose of a playground. But what exactly is it? We define a playground as a set of constraints. These are the particular rules or boundaries we're going to stick to in our improvisation. Here are a few examples of constraints. You might restrict the note pitches you're going to play to just the notes of a certain scale, or even just a few particular notes. You might decide to only use straight quarter notes and rests for your rhythms. You might decide to just use the note pitches or the rhythm of a particular lick or riff you like. You might impose a certain structure, like playing call and response phrases in alternating measures over a 12-bar blues. Simple enough, right? Now here's where it gets interesting. We combine that idea of constraints with the idea of dimensions. For any note or phrase you play in music, there are a huge number of dimensions you can explore. If we take just one note, that note has a pitch and a duration, but it also has volume. It might have a certain articulation. It might have a variation in pitch, such as vibrato or a slide. And you might have a variety of timbres available to you on your instrument for that note. And of course, extending that to a whole series of notes, there are a huge number of ways you can stretch or bend or alter the music in different directions. The point is that whatever our constraints might be, we are still left with a huge number of dimensions we can explore creatively. Okay, let's get concrete. I'm going to give you an example of a playground that's suitable for a complete beginner, which can also be mind-blowing for someone who's already been learning music for a while. One of the early exercises in our improvisation modules at Musical U is designed to help you start improvising with zero risk. Your playground is to take the constraint of using just 3-note pitches. That's right, you're only going to draw from 3 notes, C, D, and E. More than that, you're going to begin with just one of the 3. Spend a minute or two seeing how creative you can be with just the note C. Really explore rhythm, timing, dynamics, articulation. For the first minute or two, don't worry about making it sound musical. Just explore the limits of what's possible. And then start using what you found to create something more musical sounding. See how musical and interesting you can make your playing with just that one note. After a while, introduce a second note, the D, and see what you can do with just those 2. It's a whole new world. And when you finally introduce note number 3, it's another revelation. Notice how dramatically this changes your perspective on improvising. Particularly if you've come from the world of intricate scale patterns and harmonic music theory or memorized vocabulary, we are stripping right back to the purest fundamentals so that you can see just how much improvisational freedom you actually have with each and every note. Notice too how this exercise gets you in touch with your musical instinct. We have lots of members at Musical U who join thinking they don't have the instinct or the creativity to improvise. But when they do this exercise, and all the complications and expectations are stripped away, they get to see that actually they do instinctively know what sounds good and how to change their playing to achieve a particular desired effect. So that is a terrific playground to start with. Just 3 notes, but you'll be amazed how much creativity is possible. That is just one example of a playground. Of course, we've got a lot more detail on this framework and exercises to try inside Musical U, but start with this one, and you'll probably immediately start coming up with ways you want to extend or adjust your playground, or combine it with other ideas and activities in your musical life. Take 5 minutes today and try this new outlook on improvisation, thinking in terms of playgrounds, constraints, and dimensions. Try out the beginner playground of using just 3 notes and introducing each one gradually. Do this and you're going to start feeling that improvisational spirit flowing through you. You are becoming an improviser. So what's next? If you want a clear, step-by-step guide to getting started with improvising, which works for any instrument and genre, with no prior knowledge or special skills required, you can get our 5-day Intro to Improv practice plan for free. Just click the link or visit the show notes for this episode at musicalitypodcast.com. Oh hey, one more thing. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to like it on YouTube, and if you haven't already, please also subscribe to our channel there. That's going to help make sure you get all our latest videos as soon as they come out, and it also helps us reach more people, which means more episodes, better guests, and everybody wins. So please take a second to like this video and hit subscribe.